We are back with our series on the Star Wars Galaxy. This is based on the Galaxy chapter of the Star Wars RPG core rulebook. In our first video, we covered from the core through the colonies, and today we're going to be covering everything from the inner rim to the mid rim. We're going to be covering a little bit of the history, a little bit of the culture, maybe some of the worlds that you can find there, what they maybe looked like during the Clone Wars, as well as what they looked like under the Empire. And hopefully this will give you some ideas for your sessions at home. Welcome to the Tabletop Empire. My name is Dane. Today I'm going to be your guide through the inner rim, the expansion region, and the mid rim. Before we get into it, really quickly, this video is sponsored, kind of, by merch. Announcing our very first merch campaign, we have 5 limited time items that are only going to be around for the next 3 weeks. There are plenty of options to choose from. There are 3 t-shirts, 1 hooded long sleeve shirt, and a hoodie. Pick yours up today before they go away forever at the tabletopempire.store. This will redirect you to a Shopify page. If you order within the first week, you can use the code EARLYBIRD to get 10% off your entire order. Patreon supporters, you guys have some extra bonus perks, so be sure to check out Patreon post that I put out last week on all those details. The Inner Rim is the next ring of the Star Wars Galaxy just after the colonies. Known as just the Rim at the beginning of its exploration, this region marks the original boundary of civilized, explored space. In its early days, it was the Great Frontier, the Wild West, raw and rugged. Corporate concerns and rapid colonization quickly pushed the frontier out, which is what gave it its distorted shape. Within very little time, the Inner Rim was well within the boundaries of the Republic politics and commerce. There are many worlds within this region that range from agricultural to industrial, as well as a varied range in population. As far as culture goes, the Inner Rim is the dividing line between the core and the outer sectors. As such, the citizens here look up to the core worlds and look down on the outer sectors, and it's widely known that the people here have an underlying jealousy of the colonies who neighbor the core. If you check your core rulebook, you'll see a list of notable planets with some brief descriptions of each one. Honestly, most I have never heard of except for Onderon, but go check it out. There's a brief description beside each one that gives you an idea that could maybe inspire a session or something. Even though it's not as close to the core, this region is home to some of the most sought-after goods within the galaxy. 2 main sources of critical healing substances are found here. Menon, it's used for Kolto, which is like a weaker Bacta liquid, and Thyphera, which is used to make Bacta. The region is also an important industrial zone. Because of this region's value, wars have been a regular problem for the region. One could almost say they have a Star Wars problem. I'll show myself out. Some of the earliest cessationist fighting in the Clone Wars erupted near the eastern Narrow region, and the southern portion of the Inner Rim harbored the closest border of continuous separatist space towards the core region. Under Imperial control, the Inner Rim worlds are continuously under martial law, or threatened to become so in the near future. The Empire has not forgiven nor forgotten the systems with separatist pasts. More and more people have become fed up with increasingly oppressive conditions and have started to flee to the expansion region. Speaking of the expansion region, if you are enjoying this video so far and you're finding it helpful, please do me a favor and help expand this video to other people and blast that like button. And while you're down there, subscribe for more Star Wars RPG content. The expansion region is one of the galaxy's primary regions for manufacturing and heavy industry. Over the course of a few centuries, the region underwent intense corporate development and extensive mining. Despite this, the population of this region is very small compared to the core worlds or even the Inner Rim. In the early years, war was a concern and conflicts pushed settlers and explorers westward. Eventually, successful sectors here distanced themselves culturally and called their area the trailing sectors. The northern areas lagged in development, so the Republic allowed them to start the expansionist oligarchy. As you might expect, the corporate conglomerates that made up this oligarchy severely abused their power, which caused the citizens to live in near-poverty conditions. Eventually, this scandal broke, and the Senate removed the oligarchy from power. Similar situations played out through this region for centuries, which eventually led to the creation of the corporate sector, which is a region we will touch on later in the series. During the Clone Wars, large areas of this region became a separatist holding, due to the Confederacy being able to take advantage of the economic troubles to further their political agenda. During the Empire, an influx of immigrants from the Outer Rim created new opportunities for the expansion region's citizens. Unfortunately, this added on to the economic woes and unemployment that was already a major issue. And after the war, the Empire moved to stabilize the economy by creating major staging areas for cargo and their military fleet. This effort relocated a good bit of the population, as well as took advantage of Inner Rim refugees. Economic revival in this area brought huge support for the Empire, though the rebellion would use abandoned worlds and disused mines for bases, and garnering support from those suffering in the worst of the economic situation. Again, the book has a list of some notable planets here, none of which I'm super familiar with, but there's a description by each one. And finally, we have the Mid-Rim. This region opened for colonization once the booming growth of the expansion region died down. It is known for being a relatively peaceful and kinda boring part of the galaxy. Unlike the previous region, the Mid-Rim enjoyed its lengthy and relatively organized colonization period. While corporations ravaged the expansion region, a different kind of colonist arrived here. Some of these were idealistic organizations, so think religious groups and radical political groups. The Mid-Rim experienced effective governance and general security, mostly thanks to the simultaneous opening of the Outer Rim's colonization. Those who looked to get as far away from the Republic interference skipped the Mid-Rim entirely, heading to the Outer Rim. Much of this region remains unexplored or barely surveyed. Uninhabited systems typically are found near the major hyperlanes, and while the region has a reputation for peace, they are known for having a pirate problem due to the vast open areas found here. During the Clone Wars, a good portion was dominated by separatists. Some areas, however, remained contested between the two factions, and other areas to the north and southeast remained loyal to the Republic. The conflict allowed a temporary incursion of Hutt influence and control, which is interesting, and despite its heavy separatist past, the worlds remained largely and remarkably loyal to the Empire. Again, the book has a list of planets with brief descriptions, but some of the ones included here are Naboo and Kashyyyk. A huge thanks to all the Patreon supporters. Your help goes such a long way with a lot of little things here and there that you don't even realize. So you guys are greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. And to everybody else, if you wish to see more videos like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions, drop them down in the comments below. I do my best to answer everybody. I'll see you guys in the next video though. Until then, and as always, may the Force be with you.